I'm not sure.
Okay, the second thing I'm going to do is share the meeting minutes screen here.
Kevin, it made me also a co-host, so I'm going to help let people in. We have 3 co-hosts.
Okay. Yep.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to do things a little bit out of order today because I want to make sure we get to the releases we'll do. I want to make sure we get to the budget because we are going to have to vote on the budget. So I'm going to do kind of those 2 things. But first, this is a reminder. I meant to do this actually here. Let me paste the link in right here.
Mm-hmm. Can you make
there
it
we go,
faster, John? Thank you.
What was that? Yeah, I thought I did. It's 125. I'll go up to 150, but that's my final offer. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. Please, just a reminder, because I sent this out last week, and I know people were probably taking PTO, right, for a long weekend here in the States anyway. Okay, so that's the end of that reminder. Next, I'm going to go to releases. So I guess, Emily, if you want to give a status on Open Liberty as the compatible implementation for 4.1.
Yeah, so it's the beta release 2108 is on target. So it's will be out on 9th July and or 8th July. So it's at the moment I just creating gather all the TCK results, so put on the website. So that's kind of in the progress. So it's all looks good.
Okay, Edwin?
Yeah, like Emily said, everything is on track. When the CCR has been completed, I can go on with the process and email the emo and the PMC and stuff like that. So.
Okay, and have you been involving Emerson in any of this out of curiosity? I see Emerson's on the call. As part of the training.
Yeah. I might have let it slip, to be honest.
Hey, been there, done that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Not on purpose, but yeah.
No, I understand. So just kind of a reminder. If you guys kind of want to set up a call or anything and go through the actual joint release, that would probably not be a bad idea. Let's see.
Yes.
What was that?
I agree. I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Same here.
All right. And if you want to add me to it as optional, just so I can get the latest. I haven't gone through since the Jenkins job has been updated. So might be interesting to be on that. So Emily, MicroProfile 5.
Yeah, 5 actually went quite well, like the prototype and etc. And in the last technical call, we went through the 5.0 plan. Is kind of I think we discussed and suggest like overall issue being raised. So John, can you click that link? So I raised the overall issue raised right here. So basically, I raised the issue with the check boxes as Kevin suggested. I think that went quite well. And also I create all the individual issues on each specifications. I already, did a PR on fault tolerance. It didn't take much time at all. So I think should be quite straightforward. If someone else have any questions and issues, feel free to ask on the mailing list or anywhere on the gate or some, yeah. So that's pretty much. And also I also experimented to with the implementations with the small right config. Is I got all the PRs raised, and then Roberto is taking over. So trying to see how to release the small right config. Roberto, do you want to add any update?
Well, I mean, doing the small right config may take some time, especially because we need to figure out how we're gonna handle the dual branching support. Even if we have things on dual branches, we need to make sure that nothing's going to affect all the other projects, and especially there are some situations like I brought one in the, I think it was not like last call, but it's like 2 calls away, where we don't want, for instance, the Dependabot to warn users about like a new version to be available, because they're not going to be able to update straight away. So there are like some other things that I'm trying to figure out before actually doing any release just yet.
Yeah, okay. So we will see. I mean, are there any issues and etc. So we can address the issues. I think sometimes we have to ignore a dependable.
Well, I mean, it's not about ignoring the Dependabot. I mean, you can, of course, you can ignore Dependabot. I just want to avoid everyone receiving a notification from GitHub from the bot saying that they have to update, or there's like a new version to update, because we know that the version that we'll release, for instance, for small right config is not going to be usable unless everything else is going to be available as well, right? So I would like to avoid that user experience hiccup to our users.
Okay. Any other comments on 5?
So the other comment is actually is I try to see the impact about this alignment in some specs. So I tried like open APIs. Looks like there's no API change. Basically, the API has no direct dependency on Jakarta. So it's just a TCK has dependencies on the REST client, etc. So with that spec, so I posted there, probably for this kind of spec is just need a minor change, minor update. So the API does not change at all. It's only TCK change.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all for the 5.0.
So we're going to have
Okay.
a Jakarta E9.1 release and a master branch, and they're both going to be changed?
I actually I suggest the master branch has a change, and also the Jakarta 9.1 branch has a change, because this will be a mainstream in the future, like in the further update, that will be update on top of the Jakarta E9 alignment.
So which one becomes the main branch?
Basically the master is the main branch. However, when you deliver to the master, also you deliver to a 9.1 branch. 9.1 branch will be used for the release. A main branch can continue for the further functionality update. Like you can do any development and etc. Because in the 5.0, we only want to have a namespace change. Maybe in the 5.1, we can have some functionality update, spec update, but we don't really want to hold the spec update before we have cut off the 9.0, the 5.0. So that's why we branch off just for release.
Maybe call the branch 5.0 or something like that.
Or you mean the instead of saying the Catalan one branch, say
yeah, just so it's a little clearer what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, could do that. Good idea. Maybe just say MP50 dash branch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I will update. I will update the issue. Yeah.
I don't even think you need like the MP prefix, just maybe just like 50X. So if you know, there probably won't be any other releases on it, but just so it's clear.
But if you just say 50, is people maybe feel, is that like this spec version?
No, X. Just it's it's like 50.x.
50.x. What I'm saying
5.0.x.
I think it's clearer if we say MP50.x because we know this umbrella release. If you create a branch, and then people think, oh, this is a component version then.
Oh, I get it. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. MP5.0, 5.x. Oh.
Yeah, 0x because the 5.1 won't be going out of that branch. That will contain new features.
MP50.x, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, if someone can note that here in the meeting notes, that would be awesome.
David, why don't you write down?
Yep, I'm heading there already.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's see. I was going to try and grab something here, just because I want to get this pasted in. Don't want to lose my budget.
Do we need the .x at the end of the branch name?
Otherwise, it could be confused for a tag. There will be tags coming in at some point.
Okay. One thing I forgot to do at the start of the call is go through my normal spiel. But since it does say the meeting is being recorded, just remember everyone that the chat is also going to be saved. So I just want to bring that up. Everything I'll skip the spiel for everything else today. So the next topic I want to kind of jump to is budget. So Sharon posted a note to the working group list about, and I don't really have it handy here, about, hey, we need to vote on this, and she's right. I think she was going to give a final updated document to vote on. I'm sorry, I'm digging through the email archives here to try and find out where it was because I thought I saw it.
So, let me maybe add here. So generally, the issue is that we've suggested some edits to the presentation, the final presentation. There were no objections about the sum, about the amount of money and the distribution of the money, but there are objections based on the messages that are used inside the presentation. And Sharon mentions that we cannot influence that message and we cannot vote for the changes in the presentation, and we need just to go with these and vote only for the amount of money. And from my perspective and from Jelastic in general, this is not the right thing to do, and this is a bit strange to vote only for the sums, but not to vote for how these sums are going to be used and distributed, and how they are going to be, by whom they are going to be used and in what way. So those messages, they directly influence the way this money are going to be used. So, and as far as I see, 5 members voted that they are okay to make the changes. But so far, there is no positive answer from Eclipse. So this is a blocking point. And for example, from Jelastic side, this will be -1 if we are going to vote right now without changes.
From the Tome Tribe side, it's going to be a -1 as well. And
so these changes are, sorry for interrupting. These changes are fundamentally just focused around the legal and like trademark aspect.
No, can you click Tatiana's here? Tatiana's 615 link. Can you click that? Tatiana wrote a nice email and she suggested changes. Tatiana, go here, go there.
So basically, yeah, there are some changes around like who is responsible for buying some products and whether we can order something by ourselves and then just ask Eclipse to fund these, of course, with their approval, but not only they can do that directly and not only we need to go to them and they only work with their vendors. So this is one of the points. And basically, yeah, these changes, they are connected with who and how can order things and like spend money, and as well also about adjusting the sum when we are going to have the results about trademark, how much money we need to spend on that. So the changes, basically, they are not huge one. They are not something like that change everything in the presentation, but they make it a bit more clear from our side that we have the right to influence and we have the right to make some actions with the approval of Eclipse for sure, but not like actionless. That we have some actions that we can perform. And yeah, like five members wrote back to this email that they agree that these changes should be done.
Okay, so where this I think puts us in, sorry, I'm trying to dig through here. She said on July 5th, she's updated the draft budget. Well, here, sorry, I should just paste this into the subject line.
John, if you can share it, that would be great, because most of
us.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, PTO, and I have not seen anything. Sorry, but you know, nothing. No email.
Well, this was only sent out yesterday evening, so I don't think. Yeah, I just caught up before the call.
Before that, John, before that, Sharon answered to this thread that I've started. Sharon answered on June 21st.
Yep, it's at the bottom of his screen there. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, there is still appears to be some confusion. This one, yeah. So basically here, Sharon mentions that we cannot influence the message inside the presentation, and we need just to vote for the sum and for the like distribution of the money. Only one slide that is presented in the presentation. But from my perspective, the budget is not only this slide with the money, but also the whole presentation with how this money and by whom they are going to be spent.
So I think what we're going to have to do, have you replied again to her? Well, no, actually, since you just sent it out, like we're all just kind of seeing this response. My recommendation is, let's see, so Tommy Tribe, Jelastic, has anyone else had a chance to comment or interested in commenting on this as well?
If you check out the thread, there are
Jiang and Payara, Garden State, Jiang.
Oh, these here.
Atlanta,
sorry.
Payara.
That's the.
I gotcha. Yeah, sorry. So I think what we're going to have to do is reply via email to this statement. I guess continue the conversation is the best way to say it. Because you know,
Oh,
there's enough
Should we
concern.
just say this directly, that if we're going to move forward with this current state of the presentation, then we are going to have 5 minus 1, and that will not lead us to quorum, and this will not lead us to the decision anyway. So there is no point even to start the voting, because 5 companies want to have changes. So
Well,
maybe that will push to some actions.
Well, to be clear, we as Payara, we like to have the change, but we will not vote on -1 if Eclipse says that it cannot be changed, and it is like that. It would be nice to change it, because then it would be easier to handle the budget and the people who are responsible for ordering, etc. But it's not that we will vote -1.
Right, and speaking from an IBM viewpoint, I mean, I was kind of waiting, because I was not reading, I don't remember if people voted +1 or not, but I didn't read that to indicate that both the presentation and the budget had to be updated, that's what they were approving, and that's what Rudy was just kind of relaying for Payara. And from an IBM standpoint, I was just kind of waiting until we actually did get the final thing from Sharon that said, yeah, okay, we're not going to do the presentation update, but can we vote on the budget? And when we did that, then I would go ahead and vote, +1 for the budget. From my perspective, the presentation backs up the budget, but I don't see it as being part of the budget, as far as what we're voting on. So that's why I'm separating the two. I think the updates that were requested, I think, are fine. I have no problems with the requested updates, but if they aren't going to do it, I would not hold up on a vote.
The thing that concerns me is that our first budget approval basically sets our tone for the next several years in terms of how the money can be leveraged. And, if it's going to be the kind of thing where the budget can only be spent on a limited catalog of Eclipse services, and they don't have any interest in adding to that catalog per our requests, then, it doesn't really serve the purpose of what we needed. We've basically been buying stuff ourselves for the community for the last 5 years. And if the budget that we have can take over that responsibility, great. But that means that we have to have some sort of influence over, hey, we'd like to get this paid for, and we'd like to get that paid for, and that kind of thing. So, if that can be okay, then that would be fantastic. Would just be fantastic. If it's going to be this continuous, I don't understand why they're taking such a hard line against just the idea that we can request something to be purchased. I don't understand the inflexibility. I don't understand why when this topic comes up, it gets blown into kind of like a big deal. There's a message where Sharon says, oh, there's serious problems with vendor management. Serious problems. And we just simply ask questions and get a hard no. We ask more questions, then we get a yet again a hard no. So if we're getting hard no's at this phase, why should we expect any flexibility on how this has managed in the future? I just don't understand the lack of, give and take, right?
Yeah, totally agree with David. And for sure, that might be not that critical already for this year, because this is almost the end are coming. But this is going to influence what we are going to have the next year. And if we are going to approve some final option, final presentation for us this year, it can be reused the next year without troubles like we have right now, and without these back and forth mailings and so on and so forth. So that's why I was pushing like these changes at the moment. And that's why I'm telling that some companies are going to vote -1. This is not just because we are totally against. The part of the budget is totally okay. But I think that at the moment we need to make this step in order to highlight that we need some kind of influence on the purchases. And this is not going again to be something that we do by ourselves without any discussions whatsoever. Of course, we will have approval from Eclipse and we will need to go to them and approve any purchase before doing that. But we need to have this in written form that we have the right to do that. And right now, within this presentation, in the budget presentation, we don't have this clear message that we have the right like that.
Actually, the message states we don't have the power to do that at all. So
so we have it explicitly documented in email that that is not possible.
Yes. So and when we
like I said, it just feels a little bit strange that, you know, like we asked for these things. Like I say, there's severe vendor management issues thrown at us just because we asked the question. Then we get, it's a hard no, we own the document, so we won't be changing it statement. And then another statement saying it's extremely hard to believe that we're still not approving the budget. But there's feedback from a bunch of people asking for something. So obviously it's not extremely hard to believe. It's very understandable to believe because there's a lot of people who would feel more comfortable with these changes. They're not being made. So it does slow us down. We could have voted on this a month ago if we had simply, you know, spruced up the document a little bit, but.
So I have a question then. Summers, do you have thoughts about this? Because a jug is listed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, my thoughts were basically along the what David and y'all have been saying. The idea that approving a budget means that Eclipse is going to be controlling how the money is spent does not seem like the type of thing that you include when you approve a budget, if that makes sense.
All right, so I'm trying to figure out how to have this conversation, and it might be this time next week is the steering committee call, the 13th.
Correct.
So it sounds like I think what I'm going to do is after I upload this presentation, send a link to Sharon and Paul with a link to this discussion specifically, and I'll do that via the working group list. And I think we're gonna have to have this conversation in email between now and the steering committee call, and hopefully on the steering committee call we can actually have a vote on the budget.
John, when you send that message, can you please send a screen doc, like the spreadsheet, because we updated the budget and that needs to be updated also in the document. We have distributed using some of the feedback from iJag, and all of it is very updated. That needs to be done as well before next Tuesday call. And then we can have, you know, the discussion on that call. About...
So which document are you referring to? So we have this email thread.
Yes, go down.
Is this the right one? Oh, no, that's it. Right?
Sorry, I didn't add, go down is here. The screenshots, you need to go in the first one that Tatiana sent. I can add it. Tatiana, if you can add the spreadsheet into the minutes, that would be great. I totally forgot to add it. I was so focused on
currently I cannot do that because I'm not with the laptop, but
okay. So
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll send out the email. I'll let you comment.
Okay, sounds great.
With your comments.
No, I will add to the spreadsheet to the document, to the minutes, and pull you in so you know the document. I just, last week before going to PTO, I updated the minutes completely, and I just forgot to add that document. It's on me. I can do that to fix it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, you know, like I said, my hope is that we can have an actual vote during the steering committee call. So sometime this week, I'll be sending out kind of the agenda for the steering committee call, with this probably being the by far leading item.
Yeah. So John,
would we vote on the call, or would we vote on the list?
I think, well, that's the question. I think if it's a steering committee call, I would hope that we could actually vote on the call, but we don't have to. I would prefer that we nail this down on the call.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I don't mind that we start a vote next Tuesday regardless. I personally, the way that this is looking, like I say, I respect that you want us to have the discussion over email, but that's exactly what we've been doing for the last month. And it's just every time any of us says something, it's just always a hard no coming back. And the hard no always comes with some sort of exaggeration that we're being unrealistic, or, you know, there's always a negative slant to it, you know?
So let's see how
the conversation feel like it just doesn't feel like there's any room for conversation.
All right. So like I said, I'll post this, and if we can't have kind of a solution between now and the steering committee call, we'll have the, you know, quote unquote face-to-face conversation in the steering committee call. If we don't get to a vote, then we don't get to a vote.
Mm-hmm. And John, here in the
the Eclipse Foundation perspective is they really can't release any money for spending anything until we have this budget finalized and voted.
We're not requesting money. We are not requesting
not
money.
yet.
Well, anyway, I'm fine for. I think vote is the only potential option at this moment, right? So if there is no willingness to make any changes, then we just vote with things as they are, and the vote outcome is the vote outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Probably we need to vote on the list so people can more eloquently phrase their thoughts. And if there are objections, it's probably better for them to be written down versus captured in minutes, my perspective.
For next Tuesday, correct?
Sure, well, it sounds like we'll probably have the conversation next Tuesday, but it sounds like David prefers to have the actual vote. Yeah, vote after the call with everyone's comments.
Plus one. John, the spreadsheet that I'm talking about is here in this document you're showing. To sum up, here are the actions required. Review budget spreadsheet. That's the document that is missing from the minutes that I forgot to add. And that is the document that you could use, you must use. You can just copy paste the minutes and add that link. You don't have to wait for me to get that. Here it is. We go into marketing. You see the tab? This is so this is how we change the budget. And we're using percentages.
This is changed based on what the Eclipse Foundation's budget is?
No, this is changed based on, this is using the 36,000 that we have available. That doesn't include the 40,000 for the trademarks that's being separated. Most of us are doing heavy-handed work on that. And we hope that we get most of the money, aside from the legal side, review into back. However, this is how we changed. iJack is here. We have removed Google Ads and media and just kept most of the stuff for contingency. One clarification is the contingency is not the marketing contingency. We put it in here because it's the only money that is available, but contingency can be used by any section of the MicroProfile project, not only marketing. It can be used, imagine expects we need to do something.
Well, it needs to be taken out of the marketing budget if it's a contingency for the whole working group.
And that is my question.
It needs to be relabeled.
And that is my question. I would prefer for us to relabel this outside of the marketing and just put it into a single line that is independent of anything. We have put there with Tatiana, we worked on this and we have put it 18%. In the past, we worked in the marketing.
Well, that's 18% of the marketing budget, but what is the percentage of, it doesn't matter what the percentage is, but whatever we want for contingency, if it's meant to be used for, it's meant to be contingency for the budget in general, the working group in general, then it just needs to be relabeled and taken out of the marketing budget.
And that is my question. Can we do that, or are you guys okay? Because this is confusing for many.
Do we want to do that?
Yes.
Well, no, I was not asking you. I was asking everybody else what people want. Do people have any thoughts or opinions? If
I have a question here. What does it mean to have this budget for the whole working group activities, but not for the marketing? What other activities except marketing require budgeting?
Well, it could be infrastructure or some
infrastructure. We have here separately infrastructure, like for the site and for some Zoom and whatsoever. It's already in the budget, separate part.
I think. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So for the infrastructure, is that related to marketing at all? I thought the infrastructure could be our website or the build and etc.
Yeah, it could be. It could be any of those types of things. I don't see any. Okay, there's infrastructure under marketing. That's strange.
Yeah, we need to move it as well.
That really shouldn't be under marketing.
Yeah. So my recommendation is we move contingency and infrastructure under its own side. When we talk about infrastructure, we have costs with media, social media, but we also have costs with Amazon EC2 and other stuff that we have been paying. Not reimbursed, but they will be covered by the working group. My recommendation.
It's not my expectation that will happen. And also Red Hat has been paying for
yeah, that's true.
Costs associated with start.microprofile.io. And based upon the conversation that's been happening, I don't see that any of those things would be paid for by the working group. It just seems like that there's no appetite for it.
All right. Sorry, there's some other things that we do need to get to. I think that we've outlined the fact that we don't have agreement on the budget. Like I said, I'll send this as an email to the working group alias with a link to this discussion. And let's have some additional comments there around the budget modifications that we're looking for.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great.
And we'll see what happens on Tuesday. I'm going to hold off sending out the agenda until a little bit later in the week, because I think we only need a 1 or 2 day heads up on the agenda update. So I'm going to wait till a little bit later in the week to send out the steering committee agenda. And also, I think just be aware that the meeting ID for the steering committee meeting may change. Based on what happened here. I just looked at the calendar and it's the same meeting ID, but it's got the correct title. So I don't know what's going on. But I might change the meeting ID just to get out of this odd behavior.
I don't think anyone memorizes these meeting IDs. They just click on whatever's in their calendar. So
I'm hoping, yes.
Well,
if it's a new ID,
well, no, some people make a copy of the entry because they can't figure out calendars.
Or they might have it bookmarked or something. And
yeah, okay.
All right. So anyway, all right.
But
so just be aware.
You will update it, the entry in the calendar. So the correct ID would be in the calendar.
Yeah. It'll always, the correct one will always be in the calendar.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to forward next to, sorry, I'm looking for it. I know I'm scrolling around. It's going to be annoying.
CN4J?
Yeah, the CN4J here.
Is there?
Go down. There it is. Yeah. All right, here we go. So we did have a CN4J call. We came to a CN4J messaging call, just talk about the alignment of the messaging. And that messaging, that's why I pasted this here. The messaging is hopefully final. I posted a comment to the group just saying, hey, can people review this before I send out an actual vote for the working group to vote on the CN4J messaging? So in here is a link to the presentation and a meeting recording of the discussions we've had. So my comment is, hey, take a look at the presentation. Let us know if there's any objections, just so we can get this thing finalized and I can actually start off a vote. So I did see that Summers, thank you, replied saying, hey, looks good. A few more of those, and then I'll just send out a ballot on the CN4J messaging. So hopefully before the end of the week, we'll have, well, the 8th, right? Yeah. There's only like 2 more days.
Mm-hmm. I see it. You send it on Thursday, so PTO. We will help. Yeah. Everyone here, please do say +1. And if we get like 4 of those, then John can help us with the vote. And yeah, something we started in March. So ideally, we do a 7-day ballot instead of 14, right? Like, yeah. Get it done.
All right. So yeah, there's the presentation. All right. So if folks can take a look at that and provide some comments, then I'll kick off a ballot. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to our normal set of things here, our normal agenda status items. Anything on community outreach? I don't think Chandra's on. So Kevin or Emerson?
I don't believe so. Sorry.
No. Okay.
I would quickly say that, oh, sorry. I would really quickly say that in 2020, we never sent any t-shirts to anyone because of the pandemic. And Tommy Tribe had a few t-shirts order back in March, very few. So we have contacted a few members that have been active in the community. And sometime this month, they will be getting global swag from the MicroProfile project that they can use in calls and sessions and things like this. This is not a part of the budget. This is something that we have always done and we will continue to do strategically as we see fit. However, my hope is that this is something that the working group continues to do as it sees it fit and then get reimbursements, because only us, those ones doing the work, know who is behind actually pushing the project forward. And when I would say in community outreach, it's really related to how the money is invested. Every penny counts when we want to thank those ones that are adopters, contributors, users, JAGs, you name it. That is the value on protecting the budget. If you have not done any thoughts on Tatiana's thread or David's thread, please go back and ask yourself, why are some of us very serious on this? Community outreach is important. And if we are not able, go ahead.
Yeah, so how many shirts do we have? So it wasn't obvious in Amelia's statement, but I know, so we have a box of a bunch of MicroProfile shirts because we ordered them pre-pandemic with the intentions of distributing them at the conferences that were coming up, that were going to be coming up in 2020 that never happened, like Java Land and so on and so forth. So those were all on the radar and got canceled. How many shirts are there?
I don't remember. I don't remember. They were delivered last week and I haven't seen them.
Let's get the number of shirts, and on the Monday call, let's have a kind of a community discussion on the marketing call where they should go, and send them all out, and we'll just pay for all that shipping. And of course, we already paid for the shirts, but what we'll do is just be transparent about what the costs are and with the expectations. None of that will ever be approved by the budget because it just doesn't sound like that's the thing, but we can try. But anyway, I would recommend that we bring this up on the Monday call. And even though it's not covered by the budget, pretend like it's covered by the budget.
Correct.
We decide together what we're going to do with that stuff.
Yeah, it is trackable. We are using Git issues.
I think maybe it's a good time for other people to have an opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
Just an FYI, I'm on PTO on Monday, so I won't make the next marketing call. I have soccer dad responsibilities.
Okay.
There is no marketing call next week.
Yeah, it would be the week after, I guess, then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there is no marketing call next week.
Anyway, so.
And we are being very transparent. We are using Git issues. Only private information is not being shared, but everyone, we get issues. But we did mention this on 2 weeks ago and said this is going to happen in that call. But it's nice to say it here so that everyone knows this is happening. We're going back to normal, 2029 normal.
Okay, I'm gonna try and move along here.
29. I think that's 2019. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, that is what
it was a really long year for everybody.
Exactly. So it's like a decade.
Sorry.
All right. Marketing.
Hold on.
Just focus on highlights.
Neha,
too many bullets.
Yeah, Neha is the steward for the month of July, but she is on vacation until the 11th. She has asked me to take over for this week. So Ryan, can you present what we have worked on with the compatibility logo and the current status before we start the selection by the community? Ryan, you're here.
By the way, sorry, before you do that, we have 9 minutes left. So this is gonna basically replace everything else in the agenda. I don't think there's anything overly like, well, I don't think there's anything that's gonna be covered unless we have anything in the technical goals. I don't know if Emily, Roberto, or Edwin had anything there.
I think he's the only, sorry. I think here's the only one thing would I like to say is I posted the the proposal for initiating spec, a new spec in MicroProfile, both the working group and the mailing list. So I know Dimitri posted some feedback, so it would be great if people can join to have your comments there and to suggest, kind of a way to move forward.
Okay, so everyone just check out the Google group, the mailing list for that discussion. And I guess at this point, then it'll probably take the rest of the time. But Ryan, if you want to go over the compatibility logo.
Quick. It's not a problem. All right.
Ryan, do you want to share instead of John?
Yeah, I'll share. Just need to be allowed. There we are. So we've been working on the compatibility logo for MicroProfile. Can you see my screen that says option 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We've had submissions from the community. We've gone through some little bit of iterations with each one. I took these options and I applied it to one template representing each logo on the same, you can say, media or how it will be used. So people have an idea where people will use it, how it can look on someone's website, so that they know it's scalable when voting. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger here. Maybe my computer will freeze. Okay. So there's 5 options, I believe. And I'll just go through it real quickly. After this, I don't know, after this or maybe next week, we will send out, Amelia, did we decide how we're going to send it out to vote?
No, not yet, because the time got cut, but that is the easiest part that we can do via email. Okay,
so people will be updated and will be able to vote on which logo they prefer for the compatibility for MicroProfile. I'll just go through it real quickly. Like option 1, as you can see in the template, it shows a full color, a one color, how the one color could be used, possibly used or seen on a site, and also a full color on a website. We also, of course, will, whatever logo's picked, there'll be a black version, probably a white version, and then a full color. If there's any other requests, of course, we can add more into it. This is option 2. Same template, following the same, one full color, white, or one color, and then how it could be possibly seen on a website. Option 3. Option 4. and option 5. So that honestly is it. There will be some, I'm sure, some iterations after the voting is done, some tweaking if comments come up. But for now, these are the 5 we will be voting on shortly. Any questions?
Did we get any submissions from anybody? I mean, are these coming from varied sources, or they're all are?
No, they're from 3 different sources.
Okay, so we got some variation in there.
Yes.
We got 4 submissions, 5, 6 actually, but one got disqualified from Atlanta Jag because the 2 logos were colliding, and in trademarks we can't. Ryan, can you explain this part? It's just you explained it nicely.
Yeah. So they were representing the MicroProfile M, but distorting it, using the logo, but distorting it in a way that went against trademark, how you can use the M. So,
it warped it.
Like he took like 2 of them and combined them and took the same one, doubled it, moved it around and connected them together.
Okay.
So that was the only issue so far. That went against the manual that we're building. So.
Yeah, and we did show this to, I think Sharon and Paul were both on that call, right? Going over the trademarks, and I mean, there weren't really, I can't remember if there were like any red flags, but they did say that once you do it for one color, it covers all the colors, I think, right?
Yeah,
so,
for trademark.
Yeah, for trademarking.
And we have been,
right.
Paul did join the last 2 special trademark calls. And we are working closely with them in the level of when they requested last Monday to, hey, send us all the logos, we will review them. The feedback from us was that will cost money. We prefer to wait until there is a winner so that the one logo that wins gets the full review by the trademark Eclipse team, because we have ourselves done the work on making sure that nothing out there is similar. And we understand that involving them this early will draw into the 40K that we are working really hard to save. Also, one of the most important things that came out that we understand and still needs to talk, and I recommend we use, there will be 2 topics, hopefully, and the next steering committee call. This one is 1, budget, and the other one is who gets to use the compatible logo. When we worked on the trademarks guideline, there is 1 section that has not been tackled because we didn't have the logo and we didn't have the discussion like we have now. We're working through the releases and figuring out what is compatible for MicroProfile. And we are discovering the compatibility. That is a part of the trademark guidelines. Also, who gets to use the compatible logo for MicroProfile? And the Jakarta side, what we created in the winter of 2018 said that only the members of the working group get to say that. If you are not a member of the Eclipse Foundation and of the MicroProfile working group, you don't get to say that you are compatible. In MicroProfile, we don't need to follow that statement. We can create our own version and make it more freedom, make it whatever. So that is a discussion, not for this call because we have no time, but we can start it in the mailing list for the community or in the working group. And then my recommendation is to add it as a second important topic for the next steering committee call. But it started.
Yeah, it's a pretty important topic that's going to take
really
some
important
discussion.
Really important topic. So, and it needs to have the discussion. We have the technical side of compatibility. We have chosen implementation. And then do we want to keep that freedom?
That's the patent stuff.
Right? Yeah.
It sounds like we have 2 decisions to make. So
yes.
It sounds like the one of the decisions we've discussed previously, which is the logo for component specs or just for the platform. So that's a decision we have to make. And I guess it sounds like we have another decision to make, which is, do you need to be a member of the working group to be able to use the logo?
Correct. We need to decide that, and it needs to happen as we work with the compatibility. It is related. And it's
right, we're at the top of the hour.
Ryan, thanks for presenting, by the way. Really great. Ryan is in PTO. And
let John wrap up.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Ryan, especially with PTO. So next week's call is a steering committee call, just a verbal reminder. Email reminders will be sent out as well. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I'll see everyone same bat time, maybe a different bat channel in 1 week. All right, everyone. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.